temptation. Trusting in your word, we just waiting. Come get us from these nations. Abba, keep us from the trickery of Satan. Trusting in your word, not these nations. We in the tribulation. It's judgment time. Recompense for everybody crimes. Say you ain't sin the Father, no you lying. Messiah opening them seams, you can't run the high. You running out of time, you need to change your mind, repent or die. The clouds getting closer to the earth, the wicked about to get hurt. Second Ezra 15 and 4, judgment coming saying, whoa, get on the ark and close the door. Your family, you trying to warn the Father ain't playing no more. It's creation, chase creation, but not the creator. They gon' say he wrong when they feel his anger. He sending prophets warning you from danger. He blowing candles out cause he the maker. He gave us life, folks say he'll take. Water the wicked, we gon' see it with our eyes. Dwelling in a secret place and watching people die. Holding on to your word while my head to the sky. By the blood of the Lamb, we still alive. It's judgment time. They sold the 12 tribes, the same trees they hung us on and burning with fire. He sending floods, earthquakes, we in the end times. They gave his babies to the gators, don't forget now. He delivered us from Egypt, about to do it all again. Finding out that we the people, so we putting down our sins. Father, we wanna go home, Abba, please let us in. Open on to your word, cause you bout to send your winds. Abba, keep us from the hour of temptation. Trusting in your word, we just waiting. Come get us from these nations. Abba, keep us from the trickery of Satan. Trusting in your word, not these nations. We in the tribulation.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Facebook Live with Breaking Strongholds Ministries. Good morning, YouTube with Orlando keeping it simple. How's everybody doing this morning? I hope you all are having a great day. Happy Shabbat. I hope you all are doing well. Hope you all are doing well this morning. I met a brother maybe about 4 or 5 months ago, and pretty good brother. He was a Hebrew. I looked at him as my elder, and he passed away. He passed away this week. Named William Craig. I just want to send out my condolences to the family. I didn't know him very well, but I knew of him. You know, we ran across each other a little bit. So, you know, I just wanted to send my condolences out to William Craig family. And I hope the Most High bring you peace during our physical journey on this earth. But we all know that everyone has a time that no one knows the man, no one knows the day nor the hour. So we all have to be ready for this journey or that transition and just prepare our families for that. So I just wanted to send my condolences out to William Craig and his family. Also, but I hope you all just been blessed this week with wisdom and knowledge and understanding. I hope that the Most High really have truly blessed you over in abundance with knowledge and wisdom. I hope he gave you a lot of protection this week. I hope he has really enlightening you this week with his word. And you know, I just hope he has blessed you. My week, not that you care. My week has been pretty good. You know, it's been pretty good. I can't complain. But I do understand things are going on. The American economists have said now officially we are in a recession. So the Feds raised the interest rate by 0.75 or 3-4%. So that means that a lot of things are going to be affected. Price is going to go up. Unemployment is going to go up. Crime is going to go up. High incarceration rate's going to go up. Anytime we get into a decapitated state, that means that a lot of violence is going to come upon the earth because the people going to be in certain needs and they're going to be in certain situations. So they're going to, you know, their situation is going to be dire. So just be mindful of that. Be mindful of your big spendings that you have. Be mindful of that because we are in a recession. Also, be mindful if Nancy Pelosi goes over to China and Russia, China. I mean, if Nancy Pelosi goes over to Taiwan and China responds to that, we have to be very mindful of that situation as well. What could come of that situation? So, you know, I just wanted to bring a couple of things to mind before we get started this morning. But I know that the Most High is in the midst of all of it, so you know, we cannot be afraid of any of it. We just got to prepare for it spiritually and physically. So let us go to Book of Exodus, chapter 20, 1 through 17. Let me do this real fast. Okay. And it reads in Exodus chapter 20, verse 1 through 17. And El spake out these words, saying, I am Yahuwah thy El, which I brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, and thou shalt have no other Els before me. Thou shalt not take unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heavens above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, Yahuwah thy El, am a jealous El, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of Yahuwah thy El in vain, for Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahuwah thy El. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, thy daughters, thy manservants, nor thy maidservants, nor thy cattle, nor thy strangers that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yahuwah made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore Yahuwah blessed the Sabbath and hallowed it, the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy fathers and thy mother, that thy days be long upon the land which Yahuwah thy El giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor, and thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, his ass, nor anything as that is thy neighbor. Let us pray. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us of our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine to your kingdom, power to your glory, forever and ever. So let it be. Amen. Good morning and good morning again. Facebook Live with Breaking Strongholds Ministries, and YouTube with Orlando Keeping It Simple. I wish whoever's listening to me, if you could, Facebook is really bleeping me out a lot on my Facebook page. They're bleeping me out on my words and things of that nature. I wish you could go to YouTube and listen to me, because it'll give you it give you a little bit more clarity on the words and things like that. And I also want to say that we do not own the rights to the music that was played on my thing, Facebook and YouTube. So please stop bleeping me out. But yeah, I wish you would go to YouTube and look at it. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube page, do so. And share and like it. But yeah, I would like for you all to turn to Judges chapter 7. Judges chapter 7, verse 1 through, I'm not going to go all the way down to 18. But I just say 1 through 13. Yeah, I want to go down to I go to 14, 1 through 14. The key verse is going to be verse 2. Because the Most High is dealing with me on some stuff. He spoke to me yesterday and it blew my, now I understand. Verse 2, it reads, I'm going to read the whole thing. I'm going to go through the whole thing. But verse 2, and it reads, and Yahuwah said unto Gideon, the people that are with thee are too many for me to give the Midianites into their hands, lest Israel vaunt themselves against me, saying, my own hands have saved me. Let me read it over. And Yahuwah said unto Gideon, the people that are with thee are too many for me to give the Midianites into their hands, lest Israel vaunt themselves against me, saying, my own hands have saved me. And if I may give a title to text today, The title of the text today is The Glory Belongs to El, or The Glory Belongs to the Most High. And situation, the two words is situation and glory. The word glory is a mid-14th century word. It basically means to rejoice, and it means to boast about. It means to brag. It means to be proud. It means, give honor. That's what the word glory means. It means to rejoice, to mean boast about. It means pride oneself. When the word pride oneself means that they're like some people say, I'm proud that I'm an American. Is it pride oneself means to be happy about it. It means give honor. It means to brag about it. That's what the word glory means. It's a 14th century word. And let me see something. The word situation is a 15th century word. It means place. It means position or location. It means to settle, dwells. It means state of affairs. It also, state, conditions, circumstances, place, office. Okay? That's what that means. It means situation means a state, condition, circumstances, place, office. That's what it means. Okay? So when we're starting to look at the book of, if we're starting to look at this chapter, but the main character in this in this text is Gideon. Gideon and the Most High and the children of Israel and the Midianites. Okay. What happened with the children of Israel is that the children of Israel were starting to be disobedient and starting to go against the law, statutes, and commandments. And the Most High brought correction on the children of Israel for their disobedience. He brought the children of Midianite, he brought the Midianites, he brought the Amalekites, and he brought the children of the east to bring punishment on the children of Israel. And that goes from Judges chapter 6, verse 2 and 3. And let me read it. It says, and the hands of the Midians prevailed against Israel. And because of the Midianites, the children of Israel made them the den which are in the mountains, and caves and strongholds. And so it was, when Israel had sown, that the Midianites came up, and the Amalekites and the children of East, even they came up against them. The children of the Midianites, the Amalekites, and the children of the East, which is the Ishmaelites, came up against the children of Israel because of their disobedience. And the Most High was really bringing correction on the children of Israel because of their disobedience. And the Most High was really trying to get them to understand, hey, you need to continue to follow my law, statutes, and commandments so that I can continue to protect you, so that I won't have to bring correction upon you, because that's what basically judgment is correction. So when you're looking at that, Gideon had started to come up. Gideon was called in verse 6, in verse 13, Gideon was called to start to become the leader of the children of Israel at this point in time. And it reads in verse 11 of chapter 6, it says, there came an angel of the Lord, of Yahuwah, and set honor an oak which was in Ephraim that pertain unto Joash, and his son Gideon thrust wheat by the winepress to hide it from the Midianites. The children of Israel was such an impoverished state that they was hiding food. Gideon was hiding food for the children of Israel so they can take it back to them and help feed them, because they was in such impoverished state. And they was impoverished because of what the Midianites was doing to them, what the Amalekites was doing to them, and what the children of the east was doing to them. But the Most High had to send a prophet or a leader to the children of Israel to bring them out, and it was Gideon who did it. It was Gideon who was called to be in that situation. It was Gideon who was called to be in that position, because the children of Israel was in an impoverished state. And a lot of the times when you look at just Genesis chapter 1 or Genesis chapter 3, the fall of Adam and Eve, we have to realize that Adam and Eve was under the law, and the law was never broken. That was the reason why they were forced out of the Garden of Eden, because they broke the law which the Most High made with them. We never have been up under free will. We have always been up under a law. We are under a law right now in the United States of America, because if you go out here and do something that is against the law, you will be punished for that. So you are always under a physical and a spiritual law. So that is something that you should never forget. Even when you look at the spiritual law, just say hypothetically, me being a Hebrew or African American or a Niji or a Cherokee Indian, I am under a spiritual law because of how my body is made up. My body has melanin. My skin has melanin, so my skin produces natural salt. I don't need salt in my food to be able to have. I don't need salt in my food because my body produces enough sodium to be able to help my body maintain itself. So now when I go out and buy a pork, which has a lot of sodium in it, what'd you say? What?
You don't eat pork.
I didn't say I ate pork. I said if I go out and eat pork, if I go out and buy some pork, if I go out and buy pork which has a lot of salt in it, and I eat that pork that has all that sodium in it, it's gonna raise my blood pressure. So when it raises my blood pressure, when my blood pressure rises, it's because of the pork that I ate, which already have a lot of sodium in it, and that is me naturally going against my nature, my natural makeup. People who has less melanin they can eat as much salt as they want, but the people who has a lot of melanin cannot eat much salt because your melanin produces enough salt in it where you don't need to eat animals that have salt. So when you're going against the natural and the spiritual realm of if you're going against the natural and the spiritual law of the bodies and of your physical spirit, you're gonna damage yourself. So that we always need to stay within laws and statutes in order to be able to be blessed. So I don't ever want us to think that we're not up under a law. Adam was up under a law. The Most High was up under the Yeshua HaMashiach was up under the law. Everybody in the Bible was under the law. So the reason why the children of Israel was impoverished during the time of Gideon is because they went against the law. They went against the law. And since they went against the law, the Most High had to punish them. So he brought the Midianites and the Midianites and the Amalekites and the children of the east from them. But then the Most High called Gideon to come to this situation to deliver the children out of Midian, out of the hands of the Midianites, out of the hands of the Amalekites, and out of the hands of the children of the east. He brought Gideon to be able to do it. But Gideon was very hesitant to do it because of fear, because of the oppression that the children of Israel had been up under for 5 or 6 years. And Gideon was very afraid to step up to that position because it looked like because he looked like the assignment was too great for him. So he would ask the Most High to do things for him to reassure him that he was called to that position. And it says in chapter 6, verse 13, it says, "And Gideon said unto him, O my Lord, if the Lord be with us, why then is all this befallen us? And where be all his miracles which our fathers told us of? Saying, did not Yahuwah bring us up from Egypt? But now Yahuwah has forsaken us and delivered us into the hands of the Midianites. And Yahuwah looked upon him and said, Go in this thy might, and thou shalt save Israel from the hands of the Midianites. Have not I sent thee?" And it says, "And he said unto him, O my Lord, O Yahuwah, wherewith shall I save Israel? Behold, my family is poor in Manasseh, and I am the least in my family house." Like I was talking about last week, when the Most High, he dealt with the youngest last week to be able to do miraculous things. Just like he did miraculous things with David. He did miraculous things with Solomon. He deal with the youngest in order to be able to bring things to fruition. He doesn't deal with the he don't deal with the great one. He deal with the least of them. In that word least, it says, I am the least in my family. The word least at this point means little one, small one, or younger one. He's saying, I'm the little one, the youngest. I'm not fit for this because I'm the youngest and I'm the smallest in the situation. So why are you sending me to bring the children of Israel out of the hands of the Midianites and the Amalekites and out of the children of the east? Why are you doing this? Why are you using me as the least to be able to get things accomplished? And see, yesterday, right, I was working on some things in my house. And the Most High was showing me some things yesterday that he's going to help me accomplish in my house with the smallest amount of money that we can afford. Because a lot of the times we think we need a whole lot to do a whole lot. And that's when the glory of the Most High comes into play, is when he shows us that we don't need a whole lot to do a lot. That's why he said to me, that's why it's like this guy I was talking to this week, I said, do you think it takes a lot to save a lot? He said, yeah. I say, really, do you really think it takes a lot to save a lot? He said, yeah. Well, I said, well, if say hypothetically, if you save $25 a week, how much money you think you'll save at the end of the year?
He said, over $1,000. I said, so did it take you a lot to save $1,000 for a year? He said, no. I said, so it really don't take a lot to save a lot. But that is the glory of the Most High working in the midst. In Matthew's chapter, let me show you something. In Matthew's chapter 25, verse 21, right? He said, his Lord said unto him, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of Yahuwah. See, when you start to be faithful over a few, the Most High can increase you over and increase you. But if you're not faithful over what you have, and the word faithful means to be mindful, to be responsible, to use it in the best way possible. He said, if you're faithful and use it to the best of your abilities, he will make you ruler over many. But if you don't use what you have to the best of your abilities, that's why you're not able to be successful. So now when you go to chapter 7, that's why the process of elimination that Gideon was doing when he was asking the people, he said in chapter 7, verse 3, he says, now therefore go to proclaim in the ears of the people, saying, whosoever is fearful and afraid, let him return and depart early from Mount Gilead. And there returned of the people 20 and 2,000, and there remained 10,000. The reason why the Most High was doing that process of elimination is because the Most High was working on a situation. He was working in this situation to show Gilead that I can do miracles with a small amount and not a large amount. I don't necessarily need a lot of people, a lot of things to do things that I need to do things with. That's why I was talking about last week, that if we just started with one business, that one business can bring on other businesses. It's like when you see when a person's, things are sparked by what they see. A fire starts by a spark. Things start by just the smallest thing. It don't take a big thing to make it happen. It's just a spark that can make something happen. It's just the smallest of something that can make something happen. So what the Most High was doing in this situation, he was getting rid of things that he didn't need to be able to accomplish the mission of delivering the children of Israel out of the hands of the Midianites, Amalekites, and the children of the east. He was getting rid of that excess weight that he didn't need to go into battle. He was only using what he needed to be able to go into battle with. But he had to have some criteria in the process, and that is in verse 2. And this is what I'm going to mainly focus on. It says, and Yahuwah said unto Gideon, the people that are with thee are too many to give the Midianites into their hands. What do you mean by that? And the reason why he's saying all of that, because let's go to Deuteronomy let's go to 2 Chronicles 14 and 11. Because I want us to understand what I just said in Matthew chapter 25, verse 21. The reason why it was about the talents is because how you use what you got is very important. How you use what you have is very important for your success or your failure. How you use what you have is very important to your success or your failures.
It's not the amount that you have, it's how you use what you have what makes it very important. Let me read you, and I want you to keep this in the back of your mind when it comes down to the 5 talents. But in chapter 21, in verse 21, chapter 5:25 in Matthew, it says, his Lord said unto him, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. See, you got to be faithful over that few so that the Most High can see that you're responsible enough to be able to bless you with much more. But if you're not faithful over the few, he will not increase you. But you got to be faithful over that few. He says, I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord, or Yahuwah. So what he was doing is that the reason why I'm doing this is because Gideon, I got to get rid of some excess fat before I let you go into battle. But in 2 Chronicles chapter 14, verse 11, it says, and Ashe cried unto Yahuwah his El and said, Yahuwah, is it nothing with thee to help, whether with many or with them that have no power? Help us, O Yahuwah our El, for we rest on thee. In thy name we go against this multitude. Yahuwah, thou art our El. Let not man prevail against thee. See, when the Most High is using you, or you are allowing him to use you, and you are using the smallest. That's why he said, Gideon said, I'm the least. I'm the nothing in my family. It's very significant. This story is very significant because it's a spiritual teachings that physical things can't help you do nothing. It's only the spiritual things that can help you do it, not the physical. Because sometimes people who make $40,000 save more money than those people who make $100,000 to $200,000 to $300,000, because they're using that money to the best of their abilities. But those people who make 100 to 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 5, they spend their money on things that they necessarily shouldn't spend their money on. That's why they don't have much. But those who have the 30 and the 40 and the 50, they understand that I got to use this wisely in order to be successful. But all that's going to come back to dealing with the Most High. And he says, and let me go to verse 10. It says, then Ashe went out against him, and they set the battle in Ray in the valley. And then it says in verse 11, it says, Ashe cried unto Yahuwah our El and said, Yahuwah, is it nothing with thee to help, whether we many or with them that have no power? Help us. They were saying that we don't have nobody to help us in this battle. We only know we have you in our situation. And that's what we have to look at in life with the children of Israel, is that we don't have nobody. We got all the nations surrounding us. We got all the nations coming against us. The only people that we have is, the only person we have, or the spirit that we have, is the Most High. He is the only one who's going to be able to help us get out of the situation and the conditions that we're in. We can't depend on nobody else. We can't do nothing for nobody else but depend on him in this process. Let's go to Psalms 8. Let's go to Psalms 8 and 2. Because he don't want to use somebody that is enlarged in stature. That's why David was so significant. Because of the faithfulness, and because of the size, and because when he was born, he was the youngest.
The Most High is not. He could have, if he would have used somebody like Goliath to beat David, it wouldn't have really people wouldn't have really acknowledged him for that, because the first thing they would have said was Goliath supposed to beat David. But the Most High was in David because we needed to see the significance of the story. In Psalms 8:2, it reads, "Out of the mouth of babes and sucklings have thou ordained strength, because of thy enemy, that thou mightest steal the enemies, that thou mightest steal the enemies and the avengers." See, like I told you all a couple of weeks ago, a month ago or something, that the Most High is going to use a remnant to help fight and subdue the people. And that's something we got to understand. The Most High has got people training behind the scenes. Most High got people being doctors and teachers and whatever the case may be right now behind the scenes to prepare us for this new place that we're going to. He's not going to use the people who we think supposed to do it for us. He's going to use the nothings of the nothings to help the people be successful. He said, out of the mouth, let me go to verse 1. It says, O Yahuwah, our Lord, how excellent is thy name in all the earth, who has set thy glory above the heavens. Out of the mouth of babes and sucklings hast thou ordained strength, because of thy enemies, that thou mightest steal the enemies and the avengers. The word "steal" means what? Let's look at what the word "steal" means. The word "steal" means that thou may put away the enemies and the avengers. See, we got to understand, the word "steal" means put away, to make to rest, rid, take away, suffer to be lacking. That's what that word "steal" means in Psalms. See, the Most High the Most High is going to use people who's not educated, people who's not on a scholarly level, who got a doctorate degree, to make things happen. He's going to use the dumbest of the dumbest, or the ignorant of the ignorant, who scholars consider to be ignorant, to make things happen. See, the Most High cannot use a guy who got a doctorate degree to make things happen, because everybody would expect that. See, the Most High got to use people like me. And I'm not saying I'm all this, that, and the other, but if you knew my educational background, you would say, okay, I understand. Because I wasn't the smartest kid in high school. I wasn't the smartest kid in elementary school. And I definitely wasn't the smartest kid in college, even though I graduated. The Most High is going to use simple people like me to get his mission done. He's not going to use scholarly people. And the reason why he's not going to use those people is because he wants to be able to receive the glory. See those people? Let's go to 1 Corinthians. (1 and 27). It says, but El had chosen the foolish things. Listen to this. But El had chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. And El has chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty. and base things of the world and the things which are despised. Listen to this. Has El chosen, yea, and things which are not, to bring to naught things that are, that no flesh shall glory in his presence. That's the main reason why the Most High is working in the story of Gideon. The reason why the Most High is working in the story of Gideon is because of verse 29, that no flesh shall glory in his presence. That's the reason why they had to do the process of elimination, is because he first had to get rid of the fearful people. He had to have valid men, a men that has the heart like David. They had to be strong and wise men that could be able to know how to fight. He didn't say that you had to have the amount, but you had to have some abilities to be able to do your fighting. Because at the end of the day, he still want to be able to receive the glory. So if I can give a point to this in dealing with Judges chapter 7 verse 2, if I can give one point, the Most High is gonna, the reason what he's saying, and Yahuwah said unto Gideon, the people are with thee are too many for me to give to the Midianites in their hand. First, the Most High, he want to deal with the least of the people, the nothing, the downtrodden. He want to deal with those people. He want to work with those people more so than anybody else. He want to deal with those that's few in numbers. And let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 7. I'm going to go to verse 6, then 7. It says, for thou art a holy people unto Yahuwah thy El. Yahuwah thy El has chosen thee to be a special people unto him, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Yahuwah did not set his love upon you, nor chose you, because you were more in numbers. Listen to that. Than any people. For ye were the fewest of all people. See, the Most High want to use the fewest, the least, the downtrodden people for his glory. He don't want to use the most. He don't want to use the richest, because then the rich will say that I did it. I did this. I did that. I give themselves the glory. And see, the Most High he don't want you to have that thought process. First, he got to use people who don't have nothing, ain't got nothing, ain't never been nothing, to be able to get his glory. Let's go back to Judges chapter 7, verse 2. I'm gonna deal with the second part. Then it says, lest Israel vaunt themselves against me. That word vaunt means to boast. He said, I can't have a lot of people. He said, I can't have a lot of people. And he said, now I can't have them to, he said, if they win the war, if they win the fight, they're still boasting about what they did. He said, I can't have that. He said, because I'm trying to accomplish a mission in this process. He says, not just for the children of Israel, it's for everybody that's around the children of Israel. Okay? Let us go to Jeremiah chapter 9, verse 23. It says in Jeremiah chapter 9, verse 23, now I'm going to go to verse 22. It says, speak Thus saith Yahuwah, even the carcass of men shall fall as the dung upon the open fields, and as the handful after the harvestman, and none shall gather them. Thus saith Yahuwah, let not the wise man glory in his wisdom, neither let the mighty man glory in his might. Let not the rich man glory in his riches. Listen to that. See, the Most High don't want to use those people. He said, but let him that glorieth glory in this, that he understand and know me, that I am Yahuwah, which exercise loving kindness, judgment, and righteousness in the earth. For in these things I delight, saith Yahuwah. See, the Most High cannot use the mighty men. He cannot use the wise men. And he cannot use the rich men because they would say that they did the things. He cannot use those people. That's why he had to eliminate them. That's why he had to get rid of them. Let's go to Romans chapter 3, verse 27. And see, a lot of times we look at the story of Gideon as this horrific story of these mighty men of valor, and they were just roar. That's what my mom used to say it. But we're not looking at who gave these men the strength to accomplish the mission that they did. We're not looking at how these men had the knowledge and the abilities to be able to go out here and win the victories that they won. We're not looking at it from that perspective. We're only looking at it from a physical realm, but it's a spiritual thing that is happening. It's like when you go into a church, right? You never hear Christian pastors say we need to give glory to the Most High for allowing the North and South to fight over our freedom. That we need to thank the Most High for allowing them two people to come together and fight so that we can be delivered. We need to give honor and glory to the Most High God and the Most High El for allowing these two brothers to fight against each other so that we could be free. We never give the Most High the credit for allowing us to be free out of that situation. We only look at, some of us probably don't even look at it from a spiritual realm. But it had to be a spiritual intervention that happened in order for the North and South to fight so that we could be delivered from paperwork. Nobody ever talks about that. You never hear anybody say, well, the Most High got us free from slavery. No, they always giving contribution to man. Never giving contributions to the Most High. In Romans chapter 3, verse 26 and 27, it says, to declare, I say, at this time, his righteousness, that he might be just and the justifier of him which believe in Jesus, or Yahshua. Where is boasting then? It is excluded. By what law? Of works? Nay, but by the law of faith. Therefore, we conclude that a man is justified by faith without the deeds of the law. That word faith in this context means belief. So when we're looking at it, Paul saying, where is boasting then? The reason why he cut the number down is because he didn't need a lot of people, because he didn't want all these people to be walking around boasting about everything that they do. Because sometimes when you have little, you do a lot with. And when you have a lot, you do little with. It's because when you have a little, you do a lot with, because you manage the little that you have to make sure you make wise decisions with it. That's what the Most High is doing here. He said, I got to make some decisions and I got to get rid of some people. Let's go to James chapter 4, verse 6. It says, do you think that the scriptures say in vain, the spirit that dwells in us lusts to envy? But he giveth more grace, wherefore he said, resist the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble. Submit yourselves therefore to resist the devil, and he will flee from you. See, when you have a lot, you're boastful, you're proud, you're arrogant. Let me go to Revelation real fast. Revelation 18 and 7. See, this is talking about Babylon right here in Revelation chapter 18, verse 5 through 7. It says, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and El has remembered her iniquities, her transgressions, her sins. It says, reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. In the cup which she has filled to her double. How much she has glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she said in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow, and she shall see no sorrow. See, Babylon was so arrogant and boastful that she felt like couldn't nobody mess with her. See, right now, America thinks that she's so great that she will never fall. That comes with the pride. That comes with arrogance. That's why the Most High couldn't use so many people, because it was a very proudful country. It's pride, it's arrogance here. That's why he had to bring on all the situations that he bringing on, because of the mentality. That's why he had to do what he had to do with Gideon and the Midianites and the Amalekites, because he didn't want the children of Israel to be so proud, so arrogant. He didn't want us to have that mentality. See, what got America in the situation it's in is because of its arrogance and its pride. Like, who telling us what we can and can't do? Who can do this and who can do that? That's arrogance. But in Proverbs 16 and 18, it says, pride goeth before the destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. See, but when you have a very prideful and arrogant attitude about certain things, the The Most High bring you down. When you think you the SHIT, he'll show you you're nothing. That's why he's using, and that's why he's being the way he is in this story. And Gideon is because he wanted us to be very humble. He wants us to always be humble. He don't want us to act like we the bomb diggity bomb. He want us to know, he want us to feel as if we know who gave us this. We know who did this, and we know who did that, and we know who did this, and we know who did that. He want us to have that in our mindset so we can function in that reality. He don't want us to function in an illusion state where we're thinking that we did everything when we actually didn't do nothing. Go to 1 Kings chapter 17. Verse 9. Huh? 1 Kings chapter 17. Let's go to verse 8. This is talking about Elijah. Then it says, and the word of Yahuwah came unto Elijah, saying, arise, get to Zarephath, which belongs to Zidon, and dwell there. Behold, I have commanded a widow woman there to sustain thee. And he arose and went to Zarephath, and when he came to the gates of the city, behold, a widow woman was there gathering of sticks. And he called to her and said, fetch me, I pray thee, a little water in a vessel, that I may drink. Listen to her mentality. Listen to what she's saying. Listen to her whole thought process. And she said, and as she was going to fetch it, he called to her and said, bring me, I pray thee, a morsel of bread in thy hand. And she said, as Yahuwah thy El liveth, I have not a cake, but a handful of meal in a barrel, and a little oil in a cruse. And behold, I am gathering 2 sticks that I may go in and dress it for me and my son, that we may eat it and die. And Elijah said to her, fear not, go and do as thou said, but make me thereof a little cake first, and bring it to me, and after make for thee and thy son. Her mentality was that I ain't got nothing, man. How can I give you something when I ain't got nothing? But when you put your hands in the Most High, when you put everything that you have in the hands of the Most High, he will do miracles and wonders for you. But you just got to realize that who is the maker, who is the provider, who is the everything that you have, why you got what you got, how did you get what you got. That's what you got to realize. But see, she was looking at where she at. She wasn't looking at who she was talking to. And see, sometimes we got to realize where we at and who we talking to. Then it says, for thus said Yahuwah El of Israel. Let me go back. And Elijah said to her, fear not, go and do as thou hast said, but make me thereof a little cake first, and bring it unto me, and after make for thee and for thy son. For thus said Yahuwah El of Israel, the barrel of meal shall not waste, neither shall the cruse of oil fail, until the day that Yahuwah sendeth rain upon the earth. Elijah was telling the woman, yes, what you think you got is more than what you have. He said the Most High is going to take care of you until it starts to rain. Just be faithful over the little bit that you have, and he'll take care of you. But if you ain't faithful over the little that you have, how can he take care of you? Then it says that she went and did according to the saying of Elijah. And she and he and her house did eat many days. And the barrel of meal wasted not, neither did the cure of oil fail. The cruse of oil fail, according to the word of Yahuwah, which he speak by Elijah. That word is cruse. The cruse of oil fell according to the word of Yahuwah, which he spake by Elijah. See, the Most High was in the midst of that. The Most High is in the midst of Judges chapter 7, verse 2. The Most High is in the midst of your situation. You just got to see it. Israel got to see the Most High is in the midst of our situation. He see that the economy is going into recession. He see that we getting ready to go through some painful situation. He see all these people are getting ready to lose their jobs. He see that they're shifting or transforming our economy, our society as a whole. He see this. But he even when he see it and you see it, you still got to give him glory in the midst of it. We got to say the Most High know what he doing. We ain't worried about this. We got to say the Most High know what he doing. We ain't worried about it. Now let's go back to Judges chapter 7, verse 2. And I want to deal with the last part. He don't need many people to get things done because he didn't need a lot of flour or meal in that barrel. He didn't need a lot of oil in that cruse to get things done with that lady, with the widow and her son and Elijah. He didn't need a lot of men in this situation, but they could not. It couldn't be a lot and they couldn't be boasting. They had to be humble. Then it also says, saying, my own hands has saved me. See, he's saying, I don't need a lot of people to do it. I don't need a lot of people to be able to boast and brag about it. And I definitely don't need them to take the credit for me. He said, I don't need them to take the credit for what I'm doing. I don't need you to take the credit for what I'm doing. So turn to Deuteronomy chapter 8 and 17. Because what the Most High is doing in your life right now, He's putting you in a state where you can't get the credit for it. He's going to put you in a situation where only He can get the credit for what's going on in your life and not you. See, this recession that's going to come, and how you make it through this recession is not going to be on your own accord. It's going to be because of the Most High is going to take you through this. The Most High is going to provide for you because the Most High is going to be able to do all the things He needs to do for you. It's not going to be because of what you're doing. It's going to be because of who He is and because of what He is doing. In Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 17, it says, and thou say in thy heart, my power and the might of my hands has gotten me this wealth. See, you don't need people like that. Because you're getting credit for something that He's doing, and He don't want you to get the credit. He wants you to say that He wants you to say that the Most High gave you everything that you have. He wants you to be very humble. But let me go to verse 16 and 18. Let me read it. It says, who fed thee in the wilderness with mammon? See, it's like the reason why I talk about the slave trade a lot, and we're not giving credit to the Most High because of the slave trade. We're not looking at how the Most High softened some of the people's hearts on those ventures up to Canada. We're not looking at, them people opening up safe houses along that road for them people to soften their hearts, to let those slaves, let our ancestors come in so that they can escape slavery in our own land. We're not looking at all that. We're not looking at how the Spirit or the Most High allow people to be kind to us on this road and this journey. We're not giving credit to the Most High for that. We're only giving credit to man for that. But he deserves the credit, or the Spirit deserves the credit, because he had to speak to those people to soften their hearts so that they could be able to understand that they need to help us along this journey. Okay, let me read it again. It says, who fed thee in the wilderness with mammon, which thy fathers knew not, that he might humble thee, and that he might prove thee, or test thee, to do thee good at thy later end. And thou say in thy heart, my power and the might of man hands has gotten me this wealth. But thou shalt remember Yahuwah thy El, for it is he that giveth thee power to get wealth, and that he may establish his covenant which he swore unto thy fathers, and it is this day. See, every essence of our life, every breath, everything that we do, we got to get the Most High credit for. We can't take on no responsibility and say, I did it. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 10, verse 13. I'm finna get ready to stop in a few minutes.
10, 13.
Yeah, Isaiah 10 and 13. Listen. The reason why Genesis chapter 1 is so important is because it let you know that man didn't do nothing. It let you know that man didn't do nothing. That we're finite creatures. We have limited abilities. Genesis chapter 1 is very important. It is the base and the foundation. Genesis chapter 1, verse 1 and 2 is very important, because it lets you know what started it all. But it says in Isaiah chapter 10, verse 12 and 13, it says, wherefore it shall come to pass that when Yahuwah has performed his whole work upon Mount Zion and on Jerusalem, I will punish the fruits out of the sprout heart of the king of Assyria, and the glory of his high look. For he saith, by the strength of my hands I have done it, and by my wisdom, for I am prudent. I have removed the bounds of the people, and I have robbed their treasures, and I have put down the inhabitants like a valiant man. That's one of the main reasons why Nebuchadnezzar fell. That was one of the main reasons why the United States fell. That's the main reason why Rome fell in the time that it did in the first century. Because they was arrogant. Even though they had the most powerful military at the time, they still failed. They still failed. They was not successful. But let us go back to Judges chapter 7. Let's go down to verse 13. See, the reason why Gideon, they couldn't take the credit, the reason why they couldn't take the credit for anything, the reason why I can't say that I saved anybody, the reason why I can't say that anybody can't say they did anything is because the Most High goes before you and performs a miracle before you so that you cannot get the credit. You just got to show up to the fight. See, it's like Gideon really can't take the credit for it. Gideon really cannot take the credit for winning that fight because of verse 13 and 14 in chapter 7. And let us read. And when Gideon come, behold, there was a man that told a dream unto his fellows, and said, behold, I dreamed a dream, and lo, a cake of barley bread tumbled in the hosts of Midian, and came unto a camp, and smote it, that it fell, and overturned it, that the tent laid alone. Listen, they was receiving a prophecy from the Most High. And I'm going to tell you why they were receiving a prophecy from the Most High. Then it says, and his fellow answered and said, this is nothing else, says, this is nothing else save the sword of Gideon, the son of Joash, a man of Israel, for into his hands has El delivered Midian, and all the hosts, all the armies. And it was so when Gideon heard the telling of the dream and the interpretation of it, that he worshiped and returned into the host of Israel and said, arise, for Yahuwah has delivered into your hands the host of the Midians. See, Gideon couldn't take the credit for the victory because the Most High had already scared the people up prior to the war. Gideon couldn't take the credit. I can't take the credit for nothing that I do because it's already done before I even started to do it. When he said, I knew you in your mother's womb, it was already, your mission was already accomplished before you even got to it. Only thing that Gideon had to do was just show up because the Most High has already done the work. He had already prepared the men to be afraid of Gideon, even though they ain't had number 300 people. And them people had 10,000 people. It was just up to Gideon and them to show up. And they was going to automatically win because the Most High had put fear in those soldiers' hearts already. That's why we can't give Gideon no credit. That's why we got to give the Most High the credit, because it was the Most High who did it. It was the Most High who put the vision in those guys' minds and made them afraid. It wasn't Gideon who just showed up. No. It was the Most High that was doing everything. It was the Most High. It was a cloud by day and fire by night. It was the Most High. It wasn't the people. Sometimes we give ourselves too much credit, think we doing something when in actuality we ain't doing nothing. And I have a couple of friends who think that I woke myself up this morning. I did this and I did that and I did this and I did that. Okay, so if you're so powerful, right? Go create a fruit that never existed before. And you create it and put it all around the world and make it be and be able to give it all the vitamins and nutrients that it needs to be able to heal the body. If you're that good, go do that. If you're God, go do that. Yeah, you're a finite creature. But in this story here, it was all about Gideon giving the Most High getting the accolades. Just like it was the Most High in the story of the Egyptians, the Israel coming out of Egypt. It was about man is not ruler. They're finite creatures. They had limited abilities. That's what it was. That was that story was all about. It was showing you that the spirit, the Ruach, has unlimited abilities, but man has limited abilities. Pharaoh couldn't do none of the things that the Most High was able to do. Pharaoh couldn't bring his kids back to life. Pharaoh couldn't get rid of all those plagues. Let me read you a little something. It says, the time of judgment has arrived, the gathering of the harvest sown by man. It says, oh, my beloved disciples, these are times of justice for men, justice for mankind. The time is up for you to begin to settle your accounts. You are reaping the harvest of previous sowings, the results or consequences of your deeds of being prideful or being humble. This is and I want us to understand something. Look at the mentality of Russia and look at the mentality of the U.S. in this conflict. The only thing that Russia said to the United States was, listen, don't put no missiles on my border. Come on, let's sit down and talk about this. Let's do this and let's do that. But what did Russia do? What did the U.S. say? No, I ain't doing none of that. I ain't doing none of that. I ain't doing none of that. Okay, it says, this is a time for man to perform his acts, and another in which he must answer for what he has done. Listen to that. Listen to that. This is time for man to perform his acts, and another in which he must answer for what he has done. The time in which you live is the latter. This is why all of you suffer and weep, just as you have done one time. So to God has conceded to you one time to comply with his laws, and another in which he will manifest his justice. You are living in the phase of divine justice. Listen to that. Because of the arrogancy of Babylon, you are living in the phase of divine justice. Pain make you weep. Humility purifies itself through its own lamenting, because because no one is exempt from restitution. Let me read that over, because I want to make sure you don't misinterpret what I'm saying. Babylon, you are living in a phase of divine justice. Pain make you weep. Humility purifies itself through its own lamenting, because no one is exempt from restitution. These are times of justice in which you must meditate over your destiny, so that through meditation and spirituality you will listen to the voice of conscience, which does not confuse nor deceive, but it guides you along the path of peace. This is the time of judgment for humanity. My divinity judges men, villages, and nations one by one. Nevertheless, Men have not become aware of that, nor do they know the time in which they live. Listen to that. That is why I have come in spirit, manifesting myself through human spokesmen. Through them I have revealed to you who it is that speaks, the time in which you live, and what your mission is. See, Gideon knew that he just had to show up because of all the tests that he went through. He knew who was in the midst of it. He knew what was going on. He knew because of conversations that he had with the angels or the messengers. See, when you see where it says the angels of the Lord, those are men coming to talk. Those are not spiritual beings that come down. Those are men. Just like in Sodom and Gomorrah, those were physical men, meaning angels or messengers from man that was speaking to Lot. See, the Most High sent physical beings to talk to physical people. It says, verily I say to you, you are living in the days of the Lord. You are already under his judgment. You are already under his judgment. The living and dead are now being judged. Past and present deeds are being weighted in this scale. Open your eyes so that you can be witnesses that the divine justice is being felt everywhere. The divine justice is everywhere. And then it says, since old times I have spoken to you about a judgment, and this is the time announced which the prophets represent as if it were one day. The word of your heir, the word of your God is that of a king, and it stands firm. Listen to that. The word of your God is that of a king, and it stands firm. What does it matter that thousands of years have passed since then? The will of the Father is unchangeable and must be fulfilled. If men besides believing in my word also knew how to pray and give veil, they would never be taken off guard. But they are unfaithful, forgetful, unbelieving. When the ordeal takes place, they attribute it to punishment, vengeance, or iron of God. To which I say to you that every ordeal is announced with anticipation, so that you will be prepared. Therefore, you should always remain vigilant. And I'm going to say this too, because of my energy, my spirit, I'm going to jack up some words, and I ask you to overlook that. But understand something. The glory belongs to the Most High. The honor belongs to him. Everything that's going on in the story of Gideon belongs to the Most High, because the Most High was in the midst of it. He was calling the shots. He was giving the instructions. He was doing everything. Everything that you see today. It's the Most High's doing it. It's not man that's doing it. I want you to understand something. It's not man that's doing it. It's the Most High that's doing it. You got to give the credit to the Most High. Everything that you got going on in your life, if you're connected to your spirit and you're talking to that spirit that's inside your body, and you're having a spiritual conversation, he's going to talk to you and let you know what's going on. You got to give him the credit, or you got to give that Ruach the credit. You can't take no credit for nothing. See, when he told me yesterday, he said, I'm going to continue to let you do what you're doing, and I'm going to let you do it out the least that you have, so that you can see that I'm working in the midst of you. And I appreciated it so much because I see it gives me excitement because I see the possibilities now. Because even in the midst of him working on me with the smallest, he gives you the abilities that you can be able to do all things through Christ who strengthens you when you're working off the least of it. Because then if you can do it with the least of it, what you can do with the large amount? If you still have that same mentality. See, it don't need a lot. The Most High is not going to use the best. He's not going to use the wealthy. He's not going to use the smartest. He's not going to use the strongest. He's going to use the small, the weak, and the dumbest people to accomplish his mission. So what am I saying? I remember my mentor. I haven't called him in a while. I need to get back to him and call him because I'm supposed to be having lunch with him and I got to sit down and talk to him about some stuff. He said, Orlando, whenever you're doing what you do, your teachings, he said, what's the purpose of it? And I said, giving people salvation, making sure that they understand they need to have salvation. And I said, okay. And that's why I talk to you about salvation a lot, because salvation means complete. It means whole. It means one with the universe, one with the spirit. That's what salvation means. And see, in the story of Gideon had conversations with the Most High to make sure that he was listening to the right creator. Gideon said, well, if this is you speaking to me, put dew on the blanket and make it dry all around the blanket so that I know that it's you. Then he said again, okay, if it's you again, put moisture all around the blanket and make the blanket dry. See, when you start to have that conversation with the Most High, you can begin to have salvation. It means to become complete and whole. When you become humble, you can be able to become complete and whole. When you're not bragging, you can become complete and whole. But at the end of it all, when you start to give glory to the Most High, that's when your salvation comes, because that's when you have decreased yourself and you have increased him. You knowing that your source, everything that you have come from him and not from you. That's when all of it comes, because that's what the Most High was doing in this story here. That's what he has done in so many different stories. That's what the story of the Exodus was about. Him showing you that you cannot do nothing without him. When you understand and you want salvation, you got to decrease so he can increase. Just like when Abram left his father, the land of Chaldeans. Abram had so much faith, he just left, walked out, did what he had to do. He had to step out in faith and believe, or he had to step out and believe, to have faith in that spirit that was speaking to him. We have to have so much faith or belief that we just have faith. And what I mean by faith is actions. We have to be so willing to just do what he has called us to do. We have to have so much belief in his word. We just do what he say do. That's when we're giving honor and glory to him. If he tell us to do it, we just got to do it. If he tell us to be humble, be humble. Because at the end of the day, we know where everything come from. If you say, I know where my help and my strength come from, well, act like it. If you say, thank you, Father, for waking me up in the morning, act like it. If you say the Most High gave me everything I have, act like it. That's when you can become complete and whole. That's when you can become a circle. I'm not giving no hand signs either. That's when you can become a circle. That's when you become. When you really, truly analyze that Gideon story, Gideon said, I'm the least of my family. Why you want to choose me? Why not choose you? Well, I'm going to test you first. Okay, test me. I'm going to show you who I am. But I'm going to need you to do what I asked you to do. And I'm going to even show you more proof that I went ahead of you to make these people afraid so that they will not want to fight you because of who I am to you. So that's when your salvation comes. Your salvation comes when you're humble, when you're not boasting and you're not bragging, and when you have surrendered to his will. Because Gideon surrendered. He didn't want to, but he surrendered. He surrendered. He wasn't boasting. He wasn't bragging. He was very humble. But like I said, the title of the text today was The Glory Belongs to the Most High. The glory belongs to El. And that's the story of Gideon. It's more to it because the Most High don't want to use somebody who will take the credit for everything that he did. He wants you to give him the credit for what you did, for what he did in your life. Because you are his child, right? So why the child gonna take credit for what the dad did? You think these kids gonna say, well, I taught myself how to read? Or they gonna say, well, my mom and dad taught me how to do this. And when my mom and dad taught me this. And that's all I hear my wife tell me about things she did. Well, I saw my aunt them do this. I saw my grandmama them do this. I saw them do that. And I saw them do that. And they taught me this. And we were just shelling purple hull peas. And we were just sitting on the front porch. My dad used to just tell me how to do that. She's giving glory to them. That's what we got to do. Give glory to the Most High. So let me pray so we can go. Abba, as I come to you today, I thank you. We bless you. We give you all the honor and the glory. Abba, we thank you for everything you have done. Abba, we just got to give you glory for everything that's happening right now. Your judgment is upon the earth. Your judgment is in each one of our lives right now. Abba, we thank you for it. We ask that you continue to let your will be done in our life. We ask that you just continue to bring judgment on the earth. But we ask you, Abba, just to prepare our spirit and our soul for what's to come. We ask that you prepare us physically and mentally for this so that we can be able to endure to the end, so that we can be saved. Abba, we ask that you continue to just lead and guide us. Let us hear the way you want us to hear. Let us see the way you want us to see. And let us speak the way you want us to speak, Abba. But Abba, we have had a lot of people who you have called home or put in their resting place. We ask that you give their families peace. We ask that you cover them and bring them into your bosoms. I pray for the William Craig family and many other families out there who have lost a loved one, my friend Quincy. His sister passed away last week, so I ask that you cover him and his family. And many other lives people have been affected by losing loved ones physically, but not spiritually. Because we know that the spirit cannot be killed. Only by you. But we ask that you just help the people and guide them, lead them and cover them. And in all these things we pray. So let it be. Also, Father, forgive us for the sins that we have done knowingly and unknowingly. Forgive our ancestors for the things that they have done. Forgive our sons and our daughters and our relatives for the things that they have done. And all these things we pray, so let it be. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Y'all have a blessed Sabbath. Have a good one.
You are my rock, my shield, my fortress, my everlasting King. You gave me life, one thank you for this. You the creator of everything. Your everlasting mercy, until you do I sing. Your laws and your commandments, I keep them close to me. Whoa, you divided the waters for your people. We the best at everything, but we still need you. You the one who punish us when we do evil. Through the hell and tribulation, he won't leave you. Glory, glory. We give you glory, glory, glory. We give you glory, glory, glory. We give you glory, glory, glory. You are my rock, my shield, my fortress, my everlasting King. You gave me life, wanna thank you for this. You the creator of everything. Your everlasting mercy, until you do I sing. Your laws and your commandments, I keep them close to